Hello and welcome to If You Know Your History with me, Jonny Owen, and my great friend, my good buddy.
That's right. Well, I thought he was going to say my name, but also I can never quite get past the fact that you just called me a sandwich. But I know that isn't in your... I'm Mark Webster.
Good man. It's an actual mining term. It was the men that worked in the headings together and the lad that would check the ceiling for dust if it dropped. So basically the way they worked in the pit was, if one man was chopping away at the face, somebody else had to watch to make sure it didn't collapse.
I like to think so.
So your person working next to you was so close to you because your life was in their hands. That was your buddy. So the term buddy is more than a friend, really.
It's not derivative of buddy then, particularly.
In Welsh, they spell it BWTY, buddy.
Do they?
Yes. So they're my good buddy Mark.
I'm proud
Webster.
to be your cheek
He's
to
got
cheek.
my back.
I have. You plough away at the coalface, son. I'll watch the foundations of this podcast.
Lovely.
He said metaphorically.
And the foundations that we're going to plough away at is, of course, the history of Argentinian football.
Indeed.
We argued with this at the start. Tell him what you said to me. What time were you going to open up with?
Well...
He did a Jimmy Hill on me. He did a Jimmy Hill.
Did I?
Yes.
What do I know?
They went, oh, well, you know what? They're the fourth oldest football association.
I will do 90% of the... I'm going to do this. I will read out the facts as I remove them from a computer.
Go on.
And, of course, you can now Welsh them.
Go on.
90% of the country's football fans play football from child to OAP. It's the 8th oldest FA in the world. Here we go. And they are the 5th FIFA member after England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, space, the Dutch, and then it's Argentina. I've left someone out of it.
It's Wales.
Yeah.
He missed Wales. But don't worry about all my Welsh listeners, my brothers, my buddies. It's okay. No, England 1863, Scotland 1873, Wales 1876, and Northern Ireland 1880. So they're the 4 oldest football associations in the world. Yeah. 1893, they come together, 5 of them. Denmark, Holland, New Zealand, Singapore, and Argentina.
New Zealand slipped away off of the radar.
Well, they
on that one there.
They a bit like us in Wales. They got into rugby.
Well, to be fair, that is a lot of the conversation around Argentina as well, isn't it? Because
but they've got another great rugby playing nation as well.
Exactly, and of course it's cricket as it always is. But funnily enough, coal mining, as we just discussed, is often a way that you see men moving around the world to do their trade and also bring football in.
Yes.
But in this particular case, the kind of in Argentina, it took off for a different reason. It was a different function that was required, which was the railways.
That's right. Yeah, there was an expansion. And the British were sort of at the forefront of that, really. Italy as well, sort of certainly population-wise, but they arrived in very different ways, which we'll talk about. A little potted history of Argentina, so you get an idea of it. Obviously, people lived there. We weren't taught this at school. We used to say, like, South America was discovered by...
This is giant blank canvas.
Yeah. John Cabot.
There never is.
Yeah, in 1516. Amerigo Vespuccio in 1502. Obviously, there were people living there long before that, the indigenous people. But it became part of the Spanish Empire, infamously, part of history. Whatever your view is, we have to incorporate all the views now, quite rightly. And a lot of people say it was plundered. There was a huge thirst for silver, gold, mineral resources, all that kind of stuff, which was shifted into Europe, into Spain. There were 2 British invasions, Mark, in 1806 and 1816. Both failed.
Yeah.
But then on the 9th of July 1816, they won their independence from Spain. And 1 year later, the splendidly named, was also involved in Argentina, Bernardo O'Higgins.
Quite right.
Helps the independence of Chile. And in 1880, they started with Julio Argentino Roca, liberal economic policies, which led to a massive wave of European immigration. Second only to the USA, Argentina. For
amazing. And as you say, that Italian influence is obvious in our footballers today.
Diego Maradona.
Yes, exactly. The
Mario
crossover is
Kempes.
there.
They're all of Italian. Lionel Messi. So basically, between 1850 and 1950, 3.5 million Italians, an estimated 62% of the Argentinian population of ancestry from Italy. There's talk of Italy becoming the official language. It does stay as Spanish, but Italian food, wine, fashion, all those things mix with a Spanish heritage. And you know what? There's something in the genes of these people. If you think of it, World Cup-wise, obviously Argentina have got 3 now. Italy have got 4.
Yeah.
So there's something in the way these people, 7 World Cups play football. Beef and wheat are massive. The Pampas, as they call them, open up. So you've got the top 5 exporters in the world of both of them at this time. But Mark's right. What happens is the railways. You've got to get this stuff out of South Africa.
Yes.
And they went, this is amazing stat, this blew my mind, right? They went from 313 miles of tracks, right? And in just 20 years, they ended up with 20,000 miles of tracks.
You can't even picture
just,
how the navigators would have done that job.
It's just bonkers. So the British people that got in there are the people that lead this, what you would call revolution. They're the landowners, they're the industrialists, they're the bankers, Mark, they are the sort of educators, they're the top % of the population. Yeah. The Italians make up the labour.
Yes.
They tend to come over as peasants, basically, best to work on the stuff. But the British industrialists who come in, it's the second British biggest colony. Well, actually, it's the largest British colony outside the empire. Yeah. It's the biggest one. It's in Argentina. And they brought football with them.
And which makes perfect sense, because why wouldn't they? And this all really happens in Buenos Aires. Yeah. This is where it all starts, because that's your first place port of arrival.
Yeah.
And Buenos Aires is a good old-fashioned dock.
Yes.
Dockland city. But it's where, because of course the railways are working out of there, that's where a lot of the settling goes on.
It's the capital, isn't it?
It is. So in 1860, in 1867, you get a Buenos Aires FC. So it starts, and there's 2 boys who get involved in this one here.
The Hogs.
The Hog brothers. One's called El Padre, who's Thomas, who goes on to become extraordinarily important in all of that football.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it is, the development is recorded. There's an English-speaking newspaper called The Standard, strangely enough. On the 6th of May, 1867, The Standard and River Plate News reported a preliminary meeting will be held Thursday evening in Calais Temple, which is just a small area in there, opposite number 46, for the making of the rules and regulations for football matches. Mm-hmm. Come the 25th of the same month, same year, today there will be a football match at Palermo. That meeting clearly went very well. They managed to put together, and we believe it will be the first ever kick in this town for a game of football. It was rained off. But there's the thing. It was that quick, but from there, the way that it burgeoned, and one of the teams we'll talk about was literally born out of the fact that fellas who made a football team up didn't turn up for work enough, which becomes a bit of a story. But in practical terms, though, John, it needs to be organised. They need to get it right. And this goes down to a Scotsman from the Gorbals who comes in as a school teacher in the area, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, to describe it to people, the best way to describe it is this. You've got these tier of people, a small percentage of the population in Argentina who are British, who kind of, like I say, have these positions inside. They still exist.
Yeah.
There are houses in Buenos Aires that they call the English houses. These people still read English newspapers until recently. They go to school and they teach their kids in English. Right. It still happens in Argentina.
And of course, I would say it's no coincidence that polo's a big sport.
Polo's a big sport.
They bring one of the most middle-class sports.
Cricket. Yeah. It's all these things. All these sports clubs are, sort of formed by these British people. Yeah. And, the one thing the British are very, very good at is colonising and organisation, forming clubs and going, right, we need something to do. We've talked about it so much. It's happened in Britain, where the Victorian Industrial Revolution's happened. They go, what do we do with these people who have piled into the towns and cities, piled into sort of, what do they do with them on the weekends? Well, there's the church on a Sunday. What do you do on a Saturday?
You don't assimilate. You say, we will now create little England here.
Yes.
And in this particular case, it was kind of little Scotland, because, of course, as we know, Scotland being absolutely at the forefront of the creation of contemporary football.
Yes.
So perhaps it's no surprise that a school teacher turns up and tries to bring association football with him.
The 2 Yorkshire boys, the Hog brothers,
great
name, and they formed the Buenos Aires club, which is interesting because they didn't really take off that name of that club. Other clubs there in that city become huge, which we'll talk about a bit later on. But you've got a guy called Alex Watson Hutton, who's still called to this day the father of Argentinian football. Born in Gorbals in 1853, moves to Argentina in 1882.
Yes.
He founds the St. Andrew's Scots School, which is an English-speaking high school, in 1884. To this day, the Argentinian Football Association has a library named after him in honour of him. He's held in that sort of high esteem.
Yes.
Really, because these people, we'll talk about it in other podcasts when we go to Athletic Bilbao and places like that. There's names you'll go, oh, and there's a name like Herbert Kilpin at AC Milan that we spoke about, where you'll just go, okay, so who's this guy? There's a place called the English Fields where the English workers came over to work in Bilbao, played, which then ended up becoming the Athletic Bilbao Football Club. So these things are incredibly important. This isn't a football team. This is a country.
Yeah.
This is a country that's won World Cups, and they are honouring a boy from Gorbals by going, this is the guy that got it all in motion.
Yes.
And what we've got the organisational skill of this fella, but it quickly leaks out, and we've got a perfect population that's a mixture of Italian and Spanish who are going, we'll have a bit of that.
It's not surprising that perhaps in other countries, football is dragged kicking and screaming into existence, and probably only by expats.
Yes.
Here, you've got arguably your first genuinely continental football league being set up as a domestic league.
Yes, and it's the funny thing. I mean, you were talking about there's two formed quite quickly now, which is called like the Argentine Football League and the Argentine League of Football.
Football, yes, right, yeah.
It's the Judean People's Front.
Yeah, exactly, that's right. Yeah. The other lot were splitters. Yeah, that's right, exactly. Because I think it's basically because they can't get it right, and someone's trying to lay the law down a little bit.
They get on though. It's obviously Alex Watson Hutton is the main guy really, but there's also Alec Lamont, who's also at St Andrews. These are all names that like people go, okay, they were really important in forming the game in Argentina.
Because the first version of it was one season, 5 teams. It was won by the school. Yeah, exactly.
I've seen that.
And they end up forming their club name becomes Alumni, which is
that's right. Yeah.
Which is a great name. It's obviously also that'll be Latin, won't it? But of course, what it is, it's a great name. It sounds like a good name for a football team, Alumni FC, doesn't it?
It does.
But of course, it's effectively an old boys team.
Yes, yeah, and you know, the more things happen which make it, you know, much more sort of the Argentinian and sort of British influence do go hand in hand, because at one point 10% all British investment was in Argentina.
Yeah,
it's like by 1939 there's like 39% of clubs the sporting clubs are founded by the British. So there's this massive sort of interdependence of Britain into Argentina. And like I said, all those stuff like schooling in English, private education, housing, they should say there were streets that looked like Surrey.
Yes.
They should say that. You know?
Exactly. They would have basically recreated. Exactly. Yeah.
So that, and in the early 20th century, especially, British clubs toured Argentina loads of times. Loads went. Southampton went. You know. So there was like all Chelsea were the last ones that went there in 1929. So there was this feeling that they were going there
because you can't you? Because number one, we've got the ships going there all the time, and number two, when you get there, we've got the railways that will cart your teams about.
Exactly right.
It's the perfect infrastructure. To start involving South America in this very European phenomenon.
Yes.
But including lots of Europeans in there as well, but from across the complete continent, which is great. It's why, I mean, I think people were even a little surprised when McAllister moved from Brighton to Liverpool in particular. Great, everyone's going, where's that surname come from?
Yeah.
It happened from day one. 2 of the original members of Alumni FC were, this is great. So this fella, one of them's called Arnold Pencliffe Watson Hutton, but he was nicknamed Arnoldo. So he's like your first. He's before Ronaldo. He's before Rivellino. Here's your very first footballer with an O on the end, and that's him. But the bloke he does it with as well is a fella called Juan Brown. They're a dynasty. There's a Juan Brown who was born in 1977. He was born in La Plata, who was a player who now coaches in Saudi. His dad was Jose Luis Brown, who was born in 1956, won the World Cup in Argentina for his country in 1986. And then you go all the way back to Juan Domingo Brown, born in 1888, as I say, an alumni player, along with his cousins, Alfredo, Carlos, Alicio, and Ernesto. So Browns everywhere. And all of them, of course, is interesting, Argentine internationals.
There you go.
These fellas have truly adopted their home country, even though none of the parents would have started their lives there.
No, it's fascinating. We're going to come to the end. I'm going to want to tap on that and sort of like those roots that go back to Britain and Wales in particular. Got a funny story.
Thank God they were a founding father of the Football League then, John.
Well,
otherwise...
Patagonia, the question is quickly, what's the name of the city Lionel Messi was born in? Because it's an important city in the history of Argentinian football. Wasn't born in Buenos Aires. People forget this.
Good Lord.
Here we go.
Didn't know that.
Not everybody in Britain was born in London either, folks. Just so you know that, okay?
I think that's wrong.
So, there's an area of Argentina which is considered Welsh. Let me explain. Patagonia, right? Patagonia. there were some people who wanted to keep alive the Welsh language, so they decided to do their own empire building and move to a distant part of the world and make a Welsh-only speaking community.
Wow.
And they went to Argentina. They're still there now, people who speak Welsh. Places like Porto Madryn. Wales have played rugby there, the show. There was exchange students when I was in Swansea University where you get people who would come in, like with Benitez Jones and things like that. You know what I mean? I know, it was amazing. And they'd come to speak Welsh because their grandfathers and great-grandfathers or great-grandmothers were Welsh speakers. And then this rumour started that Gabriel Batistuta could have played for Wales because he was from Patagonia. And it went viral.
But that was close enough, was it?
Yeah.
Simply because he's from the area.
It wasn't true. He had no Welsh in him.
Can I just go? You say Patagonia. Are you sure you don't mean Snowdonia? That would make
so got mixed
much
up
more sense.
On the way.
It was quite misty that morning.
Snowy and misty. Oh, there's the place.
That was quick. We're here. And by the way, the natives speak Welsh already. It's amazing.
Job's already done. Join us in part 2.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to the second half of this hotly anticipated, magnificent late World Cup game because we're in Argentina. That's the only time we'd play. Or you could play in the World Club Championship now.
That'd be great. Well, in the World Club Championship of the summertime, probably the two teams that were worthy of being there, that mattered, and ultimately end up playing against each other are our two Buenos Aires teams that we're going to be talking about in this half, with the English names, River Plate and Boca Juniors.
There you go. We shall come to them in a second because I asked a question in the first half, and it was, of course, what city was Lionel Messi born in?
Yeah, I don't know where.
Everybody thinks it's Buenos Aires.
Same here.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But he was born in Rosario, which is the largest city in the Santa Fe province.
A football team name.
Exactly, which is 200 miles northwest of Buenos Aires.
It's that far away, is it?
Yeah, it's quite a way. And there's a very famous team that plays there, and it's a name of people go, that's a good name. Illuminati was a good name. We should have kept that. But it's the name and they've won 6 titles, famous name in Argentinian football, in world football. Newell's Old Boys.
Yeah, which all of a sudden, after what we've been talking about, makes perfect sense as a name, doesn't it?
I think this little story about why they called Newell's Old Boys perfectly encapsulate the history of Argentinian football and what we're trying to tell you, the story we're trying to tell you. They play, Mark, at the recently renamed Marcelo Bielsa Stadium.
That's a name that we all know and love.
Exactly, because he was a former player and manager.
Wow.
So they obviously love him so much that they've renamed the stadium after him. But the reason why it's called Newell's Old Boys is because of a chap called Isaac Newell.
Right.
The kind of character my mate Mark Webster absolutely loves.
I don't know.
He was born in 1853 in Strood in Kent, and he loves his football growing up. And at 16, he gets shipped off to Argentina, as is the want to be in those days, with a letter of recommendation in his back pocket, sent off on a ship.
Written by himself.
Yeah. To William Wheelwright, who's the administrator of the Central Argentine Railway, recommended him for a job as a telegraphist.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
And the smallest of acorns.
I know. It's amazing.
Which I can confirm Strood is as a starting point for anything.
So he works for many years in the Central Railway of Argentina. He is very successful, but he wants to go into education.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so he starts a school. And the school is called Newell School because that's his thing.
Yeah.
And he's the founder. And the pupils of the school, as in honour of him, form a football team. And what do they call themselves?
The Old Boys.
Newell Old Boys. And his son, who sounds like a good lad actually, he sort of really takes his mantle on. His name's Claudio. So Isaac is all in. His boy's called Claudio. Yeah. But he's married a German wife. And they're very close. And she loves the football team as well. And the college they founded was the Colegio Comercial Angelino Argentine. So basically, it's going, we're a bit English, we're Argentine.
Anglo-English, yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's the Anglo-English Commercial College.
Cover all bases.
And it's a magnificent, it gets a fantastic reputation in Argentina for academic study and sport.
There you go.
So it's all this stuff we talked about. So this is kind of like, I mentioned this off, Mark, this muscular Christianity. You know, you're taught to pray, but you're taught healthy in spirit, healthy in mind, healthy in body, you know, sort of doing games, rugby, football, whatever it is, cricket.
If you're running around on a lump of grass, you're not doing something worse elsewhere.
Which, you know, goes way back into time. You know, I mean, like we can go back to the Spartans here. So the Spartans would spend all morning fighting, learn to fight, and all afternoon debating. So there's the idea of like Celtic history, guys, the warrior poet. England had it. You know, if you were aristocracy, certainly the Normans, you were really taught how to use your sword and ride a horse. But in the afternoon, you'd have somebody, study the arts in Eastern Europe, or maybe even as far as Arabia, and he'd be brought in to tell you about the life. So this idea of education and sport is really important in history.
I've got to be honest with you, I'm going with an afternoon of snoozing, though, John.
Mark
all
a
that
rubbish Spartan. Webster! we got Plato here talking to you. Are you sleeping? Sorry, sir.
Yeah, every man is equal. Sorry, yeah. But it's a slightly different story in Buenos Aires where we're going to go up now.
I just finished with this, right? Okay. What I like about this, Newell's Old Boys becomes a really famous Argentine football club.
Yes.
They are based on a college and the ex-pupils. Obviously, that grew and it's become a proper football team now. It's where it's from the city where the greatest footballer of the modern times, you'd argue, comes from, Lionel Messi.
Nice.
And they play in red, black, and little bits of white because they were the colours of the German flag at the time, and his wife was German.
That would make perfect sense, wouldn't it?
I love those.
But it's a slightly abstract kit, which is really clever. I do like that.
So anyway, this Newell Old Boys. I just thought, being a Welshman living in Britain where you get sucked in by the Death Star that is London, it's good to talk about other things other than the capital, isn't it?
It is occasionally.
He says, sitting here in London,
London,
going for a nice pint after in a nice part of London.
Talking to a bloke from around these parts. But which is why I like the Buenos Aires story in particular, because it is a working class. This is a football story that we could identify with. First of all, River Plate, first out the block, end up becoming a team in the Belgrano area, which, of course, is a name that everybody knows perfectly well from the Falkland Wars.
Yeah.
And the reason they're called River Plate is that the dockers who were unloading on the docks all the stuff that was meant to be going around for this building up of the whole area would often disappear because they're off playing football somewhere. And sprayed on on these particular crates was River Plate, which is Rio de la Plata, but it was obviously just an English name, but they used it as the name of their football team. So you get River Plate as the name of that, just in reference to them. The guy that I like out of their story, by the way, they get a sash as well. They're one of the early sash kit guys, aren't they?
There's something that really it's extra. Like the translation for stripe is band, so it's not just a band. It's something more than that.
And the banda becomes a very big word. It's like Band of Brothers as well. Yes,
exactly.
The whole.
It
becomes a very symbolic word, and therefore the look goes with it.
Yeah.
Jose Maria Minella was one of their.
You mentioned him. This is a great.
I did. Played in the 30s and 40s. Managed the team in the 40s and 60s. His first game of football that he's known for, he played on the 23rd of August 1925. He's playing for his local team. And they beat, by 1-0 HMS Repulse, which is the ship that brought the Prince of Wales over from England for a royal visit.
I love it.
And so, unfortunately, they've been on the water a long time. Perhaps they hadn't got their land legs just. That's right. They're all just. He said, "Why are they all on one side of the pitch?" He said, "Because they're all moving together from side to side like it's rocking." So obviously River Plate get out there first of all, and just to set you up on Boca Juniors, John. Obviously, what that also provides us with is the Superclásico.
Yes,
265 glorious games.
Yes,
amongst them. At time of talking, it's this close. 91 wins for Boca Juniors, 89, therefore, for River Plate, 85 draws. Oof. You cannot get a sheet of paper between them.
This is like Palace and Brighton.
It's that tight. It's that tight there.
There's some other wonderful stuff about River Plate. Their average attendance in 2023 was 84,567. Yeah. The biggest average attendance of a football club in the world.
These two teams,
which is astonishing,
are just for this city. Because it contains two teams that have got this many people who go.
They got the second biggest kit deal, Adidas kit deal sales in the world. They're a massive football club.
Yeah,
this is River Plate. So the Superclásico and the nickname which they revel in is the Millionaires,
and which is perfect because it now explains the contrast with their deadly opponents from the Superclásico, which is Boca Juniors, whose nickname is, I mean, it's spelled Genese in the Argentine language, which is Xeneizes.
Yeah.
But it means the Genoese because the team started with Italian teenagers. It's almost like a kids' team.
It was a bunch of Italian lads.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna form our own football team. I mean, people to this day know that Diego Maradona was a huge Boca fan.
Right.
Played for them as a young boy, and we all see the Bombonera, the stadium, and the way these games look. Too unbelievable. I mean, people travel to that part of the world just to say they've seen this game.
I couldn't find anyone who didn't say it's the biggest derby in the world.
Yeah.
If you read the evidence
domestically, it is,
and I would adore to go to one of those, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I think the biggest international football rivalry is Brazil-Argentina.
Yes.
And I think the biggest domestic football rivalry is River Plate and Boca Juniors.
River
I
Plate.
agree. And Boca Juniors, they've got a brilliant sort of story where one of their nicknames, which was considered derogatory originally, was Los Pastiros, which is manure handlers, which is because there was manure used in the brick factory, which was where the La Bombonera was built.
Oh, right.
So, but like Wales with sheep, they've embraced it.
They now own the manure.
They sing it, and they've embraced, and they've sort of turned it back on its head and said,
well played them.
This is our nickname. Who cares? Call us whatever you want. So,
and by the way, of course, that's the other word thing about Bombonera. For such a enormous volatile place, that just means the box of chocolates, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Because it apparently resembled it in the process of being built, and the architect would have a box of chocolates on his desk when he was designing.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at it from an aerial photograph, it's amazing because it's like I suppose you would say 3/4 of the way around.
Yes.
And then the top is flat because of the street, so it looks as if it's like almost like a box. If you know what I mean,
makes perfect sense.
That you would open the top off. But these two football clubs, as Mark just said, I think if ever you had the chance, if you were the kind of person, and there's plenty of us out there who went on a footballing holiday and thought, I want to go and see one game, that would be the game.
And also because I really would love to go to Buenos Aires as well.
Yeah.
It just feels like it feels like a city that has got the kind of a like-minded soul to mine. So,
yes.
And not least of which is John, my other favourite player. This time from Boca Juniors.
Oh yeah.
1953 to 1959. His name is Julio Messi.
Yeah.
His nickname, El Aguero Cantor, the singing goalie.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
He's the singing goalie. You can hear him singing. There are recordings of him as well. By the way, I told you, handsome man.
Yeah.
Pencil moustache.
Touch of the Clark Gable there, wasn't it?
Bit of Gable, bit of Errol Flynn going on there. Very debonair looking individual. He's got that high cantor voice that he sings in as well. Very much from the tradition of tango. And tango was invented in the brothels and the bars of Buenos Aires. Born in the sort of like late 1800s.
That's not a drink, by the way, folks.
It is literally not the drink.
Yeah.
No, I think stronger stuff was taken with tango. But having said that, it's so much part of their. For example, fancy little trot on the floor doing the lemonade.
Oh, go on, give us your lemonade impression, your Italian lemonade. What is it?
You don't lemona into lemonade.
So that's how they spoke.
That was something for your benefit.
They were the people that formed Boca Juniors, was it?
The reason we do this, John, is because, and thank you everybody, because feedback is a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
and this
my Italian's better.
It's in relation. It was in relation to your attempt to speak with an Italian accent.
Terrible.
And so basically, I'm just putting things.
It's bad enough.
Things
it's
right.
bad enough to speak English with these teeth, but imagine trying Italian.
That's about 3 languages down the track, isn't it, for you? That's really tough. But he's great, and but as I say, so he comes out of that tradition. He's got this great voice, one of the kind of earliest. So he's crooning away over there. There's songs that you can actually hear on if you go onto YouTube. But the tango being again the thing that gets born in Buenos Aires. That's why in 1978 the World Cup match ball was called the tango. So there you go. So it ties in quite nicely.
See, now you always pull the rabbit out of the hat there, don't you? I like it.
I put the cones away. I got the ball out again.
But I think it's just a wonderful, we say this all the time, don't we? That if you listen to these podcasts, these are the things you can say. And when you talk about clubs like AC Milan, Athletic Bilbao, there's a reason why those clubs are very proud to call themselves AC Milan, not Milano.
Quite.
Because there's a tip to their ancestry and their roots, and they're very proud of it. And Boca Juniors is a great example.
Yeah.
Surname Juniors, River Plate. This is really important to them in their football history, you know, and that's why it's great to tell the story. And a story like this, which is Argentina's story, Mark, talks about that early part of sort of the industrialization of Argentina, where poor people came across from Italy, Spanish people already there. Then these British people arrived that form the association, start forming football clubs, all creates this incredibly proud, brilliant footballing country with an incredible history.
Totally right. And Buenos Aires feels like one of the greatest football towns on this planet.
Yes.
And we really must go, but you got to come with me because it takes two to tango. I'm not even looking at you. I can't even look at you.
We'll leave that there. Don't forget, you can subscribe, download, and whatever else you want to do. Me and Mark are out now to do a double trot or something.
We'll have to get a steamboat up Snowdonia and hope we end up in Argentina.